A rhinoceros beetle can lift 80-50 times its own body weight using nothing but the twisted horn on its head. That's like you deadlifting 6 full school buses with your bare hands. But here's what'll blow your mind. This isn't even close to the most insane horn situation happening in the animal kingdom right now. A deer whose antlers are so massive they span wider than a king-size bed, or a beetle whose horn is longer than its entire body. These aren't prehistoric monsters, they're walking among us today, sporting the most ridiculous, physics-defying head your evolution has ever cooked up. Let's start with the absolute champion of cranial chaos, the Irish elk. Wait, before you roll your eyes thinking, that's extinct, hold up. We're talking about living relatives that make modern moose look like house cats. The Alaskan moose can grow antlers spanning over 6 feet across, weighing up to 40 pounds each. That's carrying around an extra 80 pounds of bone on your head, just because you can. These antlers grow entirely new each year, meaning a bull moose basically constructs 2 coffee tables on his skull every spring, uses them for a few months to smash other males into submission, then drops them like last season's fashion. But mammals are playing in the minor leagues compared to what insects have accomplished. The Hercules beetle sports a horn that can be half the length of its entire body. Imagine if humans had horns growing out of our heads that reached down to our belly buttons. This walking medieval weapon uses its horn like a forklift, scooping up rivals and literally throwing them off branches. The horn is so precisely engineered that it can generate leverage forces that would make a hydraulic jack jealous. Here's where it gets seriously weird: the narwhal. This Arctic whale is swimming around with what's essentially a 9-foot-long unicorn spike jutting out of its face. But here's the kicker, it's not actually a horn at all, it's a tooth. A single, spiral tooth that keeps growing throughout their entire lives, reaching lengths that would make a medieval knight weep with envy. Scientists recently discovered this horn is packed with millions of nerve endings, making it one of the most sensitive organs in the entire animal kingdom. Imagine having a 9-foot tooth that can taste the water around you. The Jackson's chameleon looks like it escaped from a dinosaur museum, sporting not 1, not 2, but 3 horns arranged in perfect triceratops formation. These aren't for fighting though, they're for the ultimate game of evolutionary poker. Males wave these horns at each other like they're conducting an orchestra of intimidation. And the female chameleons literally chew mates based on horn size. It's like nature's version of a monster truck rally, except the trucks are lizards and the prize is genetic immortality. Now here's something that'll mess with your head: the rhinoceros hornbill. This bird decided that regular beaks weren't dramatic enough, so it evolved what looks like a bright yellow traffic cone fused to the top of its skull. This casque is completely hollow inside, acting like a natural amplifier that can project the bird's calls across miles of dense rainforest. It's basically walking around with a built-in megaphone that also happens to make it look like a flying construction zone. But wait, we're just getting warmed up. The dung beetle, yes, that guy comes equipped with horns that would make a gladiator jealous. Male dung beetles use these horns in underground tunnel fights that are basically medieval jousting matches, except the arena is a pile of elephant poop, and the winner gets exclusive mating rights. The horn shapes are so perfectly adapted for combat that different species have evolved completely different fighting styles, like nature's own martial arts academy. The Texas Longhorn cattle didn't their name from a marketing department. These animals can grow horns spanning over 7 feet from tip to tip. That's wider than most people are tall. Early settlers used to measure their property lines using the horn span of their prize bulls, because apparently tape measures were for amateurs. These horns never stop growing, and some record holders have horn spans that require them to turn sideways just to fit through barn doors. Here's a plot twist that'll scramble your brain: the Saiga antelope looks like someone inflated a balloon where its nose should be. This isn't technically a horn, but it's so bizarre it deserves mention. This inflated nose trunk can warm freezing air by 70 degrees Fahrenheit before it reaches the lungs and filter out dust particles like a biological air conditioning unit. It's like evolution decided to give an antelope a built-in snorkel that also works as a space heater. The giraffe's horns, technically called ossicones, are covered in skin and fur, making them look like someone glued pool cues to their heads and then tried to disguise them as hair extensions. Male giraffes use these in necking, battles that look like slow, motion-wrecking balls, swinging their heads at each other with forces that could knock out a heavyweight boxer. The winner doesn't just get the girl, he gets to be 18 feet tall and completely unbothered by it. Finally, we reach peak horn insanity with the white rhinoceros, whose horn isn't even made of bone. It's pure keratin, the same stuff as your fingernails. Imagine growing a fingernail so thick and massive that you could use it to flip cars. These horns can weigh up to 15 pounds and grow continuously throughout the rhino's life, like a biological battering ram that comes with its own maintenance plan. But here's the ultimate mind bender. Every single one of these magnificent horn displays costs these animals tremendous amounts of energy to maintain. Growing and carrying around massive horns is like choosing to wear a 50-pound hat everywhere you go, just to prove you're tough enough to pull it off. Yet evolution keeps producing these spectacular cranial sculptures because sometimes, in the grand game of survival, looking absolutely ridiculous is exactly what gets you ahead. These animals aren't just showing off, they're walking proof that nature's creativity knows absolutely no limits when it comes to sticking pointy things on heads.